Hello, welcome to Kathaa Yaana. This is Kathaa Yaana's new series, Globe Trotting, where every Saturday I take you to different countries around the world and share stories from there. And the countries chosen will be in alphabetic order from A to Z. Today's story comes from a country beginning with the letter B, and the country is Brazil. Did you know that Brazil has a national sweet? Yes, it has a distinct, dense, sticky confection, but made with very simple ingredients. And this national sweet it has an unusual origin story. Here it is. Way back in 1922, a group of young military army officials led a movement. It was a political military movement called Tenetismo. Through this, they wanted to call for reforms in the power structure of the country. At that time in Brazil, there was an upheaval in the political scenario. There was political control through abuse of authority. There was violence, fraud, corruption, buying of votes, ghost voting, and the likes. So they wanted to bring reforms in that scenario as well as in education. So in 1922, they launched a series of revolts, and the most important one being that they captured Copacabana Fort of Rio de Janeiro, which was an important military installation at that time. But the revolt fell apart very quickly. Just the next day, out of the 301 military officers who had gone and captured that fort, 273 abandoned and only 28 remained inside the fort. And the government troops came and surrounded the fort and ordered the rebels inside that they either surrender or be destroyed. One of the officials there inside the fort, by name Eduardo Gomes, proposed that all of them, the 28 of them, go outside the fort and face the government troops. So they all went outside the fort, and there was a firing that ensued between both the parties, the rebels as well as the government troops. In that, only 6 of them survived, including Eduardo Gomes, who was arrested. But just a year later, he was released from the prison. But even in the following years, he took part in many rebellions and involved in revolutionary activities while still remaining very actively in the military. Then eventually he was promoted to the rank of Brigadier or Brigadeiro, as is called in Portuguese language. But soon he resigned from his post and got involved in opposing the dictatorial government of the then president Getulio Vargas. Now, after the Second World War, however, Getulio Vargas' regime fell apart, and many of the political groups in Brazil formed a different party called National Democratic Union and made Brigadeiro Eduardo Gomes their presidential candidate. He stood for elections. Now, one more thing that happened after the Second World War, especially in 1945 there in Brazil, was this. For the first time, Brazilian women were given the rights to vote. And the supporters of Eduardo Gomes took this to their advantage to pull and attract women to their campaigning efforts. You know what their campaigning slogan read? Vote for Brigadeiro. He is good looking and single. And it worked. Many women joined the campaigning efforts. They became a major source of support in the campaigning efforts for Brigadeiro Eduardo Gomes. Now, we all know that during elections, parties and rallies are organized so that the candidates get visibility among the public, and also they can raise funds to cover the expenses of their campaigns. So the women supporters of Eduardo Gomes' political party thought of an idea. They thought, see, our country, Brazil, is a sugar-loving country. We are a sweet-crazed country. So why not we make a sweet and sell it to the public and raise funds? Well, it was a very good idea. But what would they do? How would they make a sweet? Because it was just World War II that had just ended and there was a shortage of food. Even basic things like milk and sugar were not readily available. However, Nestle Milkmaid had effectively marketed their sweetened condensed milk in the Brazilian markets, which had become wildly popular among the public, and it had become an indispensable ration. So, a confectioner by name Heliosa Nabuca de Oliveira, who was a staunch supporter of Brigadeiro Eduardo Gomes, came up with an idea. She created a simple yet novel confection. She used just three simple ingredients: sweetened condensed milk, cocoa powder, and butter, and made a fudgy, bite sized sweet and named it Doce de Brigadeiro, meaning Brigadier Sweet, because as many times the name Brigadeiro is pronounced in public, more the chances of Brigadeiro Eduardo Gomes winning the elections was their strategy. But unfortunately, Brigadeiro Eduardo Gomes lost the elections. But Brigadeiro the Sweet won the elections even without contesting in the ballot. It had won the hearts of Brazilian people. It had become an instant hit. The popularity of the sweet spread all across Brazil. It became a national symbol. People became crazy about it. And today, no parties, no ceremonies, be it birthday parties, wedding, baby showers, none of these is complete without Brigadeiro the Sweet on people's plates. And there are exclusive gourmet Brigadeiro shops there in Brazil, and there are variations of the dessert as well. Apart from the sweet, Brigadeiro cakes, bread, and even ice creams are made. Isn't this so tempting and interesting? Even I couldn't resist, so I made the sweet myself here at home. Come on, let me show you how I made it so that you too can make it along with me.
Take a pan and add a can of condensed milk and 1 tablespoon of butter. Melt them in low heat. Then add a quarter cup of cocoa powder and stir continuously until the mixture starts to thicken. Then keep aside the mixture, allow it to cool for 30 minutes outside or let it cool in the fridge. When cooled or chilled, take a bit of the mixture with a spoon and with your hands roll it into a small ball. You may even choose to roll the small ball on chocolate sprinkles to get that extra chocolatey crunch. And your brigadeiro is ready to be served and savored.
Hope you liked the story, the recipe, and the sweet. If you liked it, do give us a thumbs up and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Share this video with people who you think might be interested in watching. This is Lakshmi. I'll see you next Saturday in Globe Trotting with a story from a country beginning with the letter C.